Hello, YouTube. Um, I'm going to try to do an in-depth video about the Lightning Archon Wizard. It is a really fun build to play, and you can push pretty high with it. I think it's second highest on the leaderboard right now. Um, so, without further ado, let's get started. Oh, also, my God-given name is Dr. Zoidzerg. That's my Twitch. I don't stream that much, but you can follow me if you want. I'm sure I'll have the link below. Anywho, let's get into the gear. Alright, so starting with weapons. Weapons. Ugh, look at this. What an awful view. Alright. Let's starting with the weapons. I use a Starfire because lightning damage is increased by 15% for every 10 yards you are from the target, up to a maximum of 40 yards. Whew, that is some shit right there. What is that? 60% damage? Yeah, that's good. So stay far away. And in the cube, I use Aetherwalker because it turns your teleport into a spender skill instead of a cat cooldown one. That's great because you have a lot more mobility and you're gonna need it. Let me tell you, oh boy, you're gonna need it. For the rest of the cube, let's just get that out of the way. The Swami, any Archon build, you need the Swami. You keep your Archon stacks for 20 seconds after Archon expires, and that's really important because you do most of your damage when you pop Archon for the second time when you have both stacks. So with Fazula's, you have 50 to start out with. So however many stacks you get, which you want to get some stacks, from the last Archon will be added to that 50. So yeah, and then Ring of Royal Grandeur, because you get your set bonuses with just 3 pieces. If you get the 4th set bonus, or the 6th with 5 pieces, and that's really good. A little side note about that is you can't find it just out in the world gallivanting. You need to do Act 1 bounties. I found is the best way to get it. Yeah, I learned that the hard way. I looked for that shit for way too long. Alright, so we are using 3 pieces of Veers and 5 pieces of Tal Rashas. Tal Rashas is only useful when you get all of your elemental stacks. So my Teleport is one, my Frost Nova is another, my Arcane Torrent is another, and the Archon is a 4th. And we'll get into how that works later. Veers, that's really great, just so your Archon stacks actually matter. And let's get into, we need Mantle Teal. This build revolves around Mantle Teal. You do a shit ton of damage when it procs. Enemy stun with paralysis, which is a passive, also take up to 14,000% weapon damage as lightning. Amazing. The other ring I use is Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac. This, when you're spamming Arcane Torrent, and for every hit, there's a chance that it will reduce the cooldown of one of your skills by 1%, and that helps us get into Archon a lot quicker. There is a COE variant, which is actually the strongest right now, that doesn't use Obsidian, but you need a ton of cooldown reduction, and it's a little bit harder to play. This one, I mean, I've hit a GR 95, and this season, and this is the only season I've played. I don't have a lot of experience with Diablo. Yeah, so pretty good build. Anyways, let's get into the bracers. You're gonna want either Blood Bracers, Ancient Parthen Defenders, or Nemesis Bracers for like speed runs, stuff like that. But Blood Bracers or Ancient Parthens for pushing anything high to survive. Something that's really important is you need lightning skill damage. That is, it won't work without it, because your Archon Beam will do the element that you have the most of, damage of. So I don't know where it is, but you want it'll take your lightning damage because you have it on your bracers. So that's important. Make sure you have that. And something I like is life per hit rather than vit, because you can only get like 650 vit, I think, with it being ancient. And that's just, the life per hit is much more useful to me. It helps me stay alive, and I don't run it on any other piece of gear. So yeah. With your weapon, you don't really want the percent damage. which I have, you're going to want cooldown instead and attack speed. Like you got to make sure your weapon damage is 1.5, just so, or your weapon attacks per second is 1.5, just so you're proccing your metal heal a bit more. Yeah, so with the gloves, there's something that's wrong with mine is the intelligence should be critical hit damage. That's what I'm seeing on most people that are higher than me on leaderboard. That's what they're using. But yeah, just make sure you get cooldown on everything you can: shoulders, gloves, rings, weapon, and orb. But I don't really use it on my weapon and orb because, I mean, I'm not running COE. I don't need too much more cooldown reduction than 54. I mean, it would be nice if it was higher, but it's not, and I did alright. So yeah, and you can mix and match these pieces. There's no shoulders for Tal Rasha, but the important thing is that you have the chest piece because it rolls with attack speed, and attack speed equals good unit. Attack speed OP. So yeah, amulet, critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and you could roll cooldown on there if you need it. I just find that 1,000 intelligence is a lot better than however much cooldown, probably 10% that you can get on there. Your helm, intelligence, vit, critical hit chance. Yeah, like I said, if I was running COE, instead of having critical hits grant for arcane power, I would have cooldown. Some people have their orb rolled where it doesn't have vit and it has cooldown instead, which is probably better, but I mean, up to 1,000 vit is decent. Like that helps you stay alive a lot. So anyways, yeah, running topaz in there and what is it called? Diamonds in here for the cooldown reduction. Yep, and that is the gear. Let's go over the skills real quick. We have Arcane Torrent, Static Discharge. That'll proc your Obsidian Ring like crazy. Just make sure you're hitting as many enemies as you can. Frost Nova, Frozen Mist. It's the best way to get your cold skill up, I think, or your cold Tal Rasha stack up. There's no cast time or anything like that, so it's instant. Magic Weapon Deflection helps you stay alive. Force Armor, or Energy Armor Force Armor, helps you stay alive. You need that Force Armor. It's super good. Incoming attacks have their damage limited to 1% of your maximum life. 35%. Yeah, that's good. Teleport Calamity. This is especially good with Ancient Parthen defenders because this, wherever you teleport, it'll stun a bunch of enemies around you. And wait. It'll stun a bunch of enemies around you, and with your Ancient Parthen defenders, you get reduced damage taken for every enemy stunned on your screen, so that's great. Archon, you need Combustion as the rune, because since you get all of the runes for Archon, your Tal Rasha will only recognize that this is fire elemental damage to get that stat if you have Combustion on. So that's the mouse skills, and let's go to the passive. Evocation, reduce all cooldowns by 20%. It's great. Paralysis, you need this, non-negotiable. Yeah, your lightning spells have a 15% chance to stun all targets hit for 1.5 seconds, and then that window, that 1.5 second window, your Mantle Teal has a chance to proc, and you do crazy damage. It's great. Unstable Anomaly, just to help you survive a little bit more, and then Power Hungry, which is, you deal more damage the further you are. And there's a lot of things like our Starfire that do that, and also Zaystone of Vengeance is what we're using. So you just want to be as far away as possible. I use also Bane of the Trapped and Gilgok of Swiftness. Swiftness stacks are super important. You get cooldown reduction, attack speed, and dodge. Most importantly, though, cooldown reduction, we want that. Bane of the Trap can be switched out with Stricken if you're having trouble, like a lot of trouble with the Rift Guardian, but I find that I mean, mine's pretty high level, but that extra damage that you get all the time is just, like, I can't do without it. It's really great. So without further ado, let's jump into a Rift. I'll show you a little bit of how it's played. Hopefully I get a well-rolled one. I like this one, but yeah. So notice I'm getting you get your 3 Tal Rasha stacks before you get into Archon. That's super important. You're doing 750% increased damage for every stack that you have of Tal Rasha. So obviously you're gonna want that, and you're gonna want to build up those Tal stacks, or those Archon stacks rather, as much as you can. So kill trash, kill trash, kill trash. Then go into Archon, kill the elites. Boom bang biggity. See that? Done. Done deal. Another thing is you want to keep those Gogok stacks up. They go away pretty quick. You see that? Yeah. Just gone. So just keep hitting shit, you know. Be proactive. Teleport all over the place, you know. Make sure you're not getting hit by stuff that you don't need to get hit by. If you're playing, you know, perfectly, you shouldn't get hit by anything. Except maybe if the whole rift is spear chuckers, because that's a thing for some reason that happens all the time. Yeah. And what's another thing? Oh, I use the Enchantress. You can use Templar, whatever you want. Just use the let's see. What are this inventory? I use the S of Johan to pull shit towards towards the Enchantress, just so to bunch it up. And then Oculus Ring, because it's amazing. You stand in that ring, get 85% more damage. What? And I'm dead. And I can't check this. That's stupid. Anyways, that's basically all that's important with her. Or him, depending. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, I guess like it. I don't know what platform I'm going to put this on, but thanks for watching. And toodaloo.